The United States dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima on August 6, 1945, as the result of a complex mix of military strategy, political calculation, fear of prolonged war, and the desire to end World War II as quickly as possible with minimal further American losses. By mid-1945, the war in Europe had already ended with Germany's surrender, but the war in the Pacific against Japan continued fiercely. Japan had lost most of its navy, air force, and overseas territories, yet its leadership showed no clear sign of unconditional surrender. Previous battles such as Iwo Jima and Okinawa had demonstrated how brutal and costly the fighting could be. Japanese forces fought almost to the last man, and civilian populations were often drawn into the conflict. At Okinawa alone, tens of thousands of American soldiers were killed or wounded, while Japanese military and civilian deaths were even higher. These battles deeply influenced U.S. military planners, who feared that a full-scale invasion of the Japanese mainland, planned under Operation Downfall, would result in catastrophic casualties. Estimates at the time suggested hundreds of thousands of American casualties and potentially millions of Japanese deaths, including civilians, due to fierce resistance, suicide attacks, and widespread mobilization of the population. Against this background, American leaders believed they needed a decisive blow that would force Japan to surrender without an invasion. The atomic bomb, developed under the secret Manhattan Project at enormous cost and effort, appeared to offer exactly that. By 1945, the U.S. had successfully tested the first atomic weapon, proving its unprecedented destructive power. President Harry S. Truman, who had taken office after Franklin D. Roosevelt's death in April 1945, faced immense pressure to end the war quickly. The American public was exhausted after years of fighting and heavy casualties, and there was little appetite for a long, bloody invasion of Japan. From Truman's perspective, using the atomic bomb could shorten the war dramatically and save American lives, which he later described as his primary motivation. At the same time, the U.S. wanted to force Japan's surrender on its own terms, specifically unconditional surrender, to ensure that Japan's military leadership could not continue aggressive expansion in the future. Another major factor was the geopolitical situation involving the Soviet Union. Although the Soviets were allies of the United States during the war, tensions between them were already emerging. The U.S. knew that the Soviet Union planned to enter the war against Japan in August 1945, and American leaders were concerned about Soviet influence spreading into East Asia after the war. By using the atomic bomb and ending the war quickly, the U.S. could limit Soviet involvement in Japan and strengthen its own position in shaping the post-war world order. In this sense, the bombing was not only about defeating Japan, but also about demonstrating American power at the dawn of a new global era. Hiroshima was chosen as a target because it was an important military and industrial center with minimal prior bombing damage, which allowed the effects of the atomic weapon to be clearly measured. On August 6, 1945, the bomb instantly killed tens of thousands of people and devastated the city. Despite the destruction, Japan still did not immediately surrender, leading the U.S. to drop a second atomic bomb on Nagasaki on August 9. Shortly afterward, combined with the Soviet declaration of war on Japan, the Japanese government announced its surrender. In summary, the United States dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima to force a rapid end to World War II, avoid a costly invasion of Japan, protect American military lives, secure unconditional surrender, and assert strategic dominance in the emerging post-war world. While the decision achieved its immediate military objective, it also caused immense human suffering and raised deep moral and ethical questions that continue to be debated decades later, making Hiroshima a lasting symbol of both the power and the tragedy of nuclear warfare.